A lovely evening to you out there. Welcome to Nationwide on the network service of the NTA. We thank you for joining us. I am Lydia Odidi Ochi with the news. The 17th meeting of the Federal Executive Council, Nigeria's highest policy decision-making body for the year 2020, has held. President Muhammadu Buhari presided over the virtual meeting from the State House. He's been joined by Vice President Yemi Osinbajo, Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Boss Mustapha, Head of Service of the Federation, Folashade Yemi Eshon, Chief of Staff to the President, Professor Ibrahim Gambari, and 8 ministers. Other members of the Council are participating online from their operational bases across the nation's capital. NTA News learned that several memoranda are billed for consideration in furtherance of efforts at advancing the socio-economic development of the country. A number of ministers that are yet to give account of their stewardship to the Council are expected to be engaged at the meeting. State House correspondent Adamu Sambo reports that before going into a closed session, members of the Council observed a moment of silence in honor of the late elder statesman Ismail Isa Funtua. The deceased was a member of the Council under the Shehu Shagari administration, during which he served as Minister of Water Resources. Voting has commenced at the ongoing People's Democratic Party (PDP) governorship primary election in Ondo State. Oluwabukola Aduo reports that over 2,000 delegates are participating in the exercise. We shall bring details in the course of this bulletin. Now, joining me in the studio is the Chief Imam of Ansaruddin Mosque, Abuja, Imam Musa Olaufe, who will be shedding more light on the significance of the first 10 days of Zulhijjah. Thank you for coming.
Thank you very
Nationwide.
much.
Yes, thank you. And now we want to get some enlightenment from you on that. Now, how important are the first 10 days of this Islamic month?
Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. We are in the first 10 days of in the month of Zulhijjah, and then we're in the last the Islamic calendar, that is Zulhijjah. We can see that during the first 10 days there are a lot of activities that needs to be going on, because people believe that if not because of the pandemic, by now you might have seen a lot of people telling you that they are preparing for Arafah, Muzdalifah, and many others activities need to be done in the holy city of Mecca and Medina. But the first thing, in the first 10 days of the month of Hajj, that is Al-Hijjah, that is one, performing Hajj and Umrah. So because anybody that's went or been there, they have to perform Hajj and at the same time Umrah. Then secondly, fasting all, that is the first 10 days, they have to fast all or some. Because even the Holy Prophet Muhammad advised the Muslim that fasting these days is preferable. So that is why it's very, very important that it needs to fast in the first 10 days of the month of Zulhijjah. Not only that, another significant, reading the Holy Quran, because the Holy Quran is very, very essential. So either you are there or you are not there in the holy city of Mecca and Medina, keep on reading the Holy Quran, even in Nigeria here, and you see that God will sincerely reward you. And you need to increase your nawafil, that is the additional prayer, apart from the 5 daily prayers we observe regularly. Nawafil is very, very essential, and that's why God says, وَمِنَ اللَّيْلِ فَتَحَجَّدْ بِهِ نَافِلَةً لَكَ. In the night, make sure that you rise and make sure that you observe your night prayer. Is very, very important, most especially the first 10 days in the month of Zulhijjah. And make a lot of dhikr, that is remembrance of Allah. is very essential. At this period, we need to remember him because a lot of things are happening. We that comes together before, that we are now on the distance to one another. But we need to remember him for forgiveness. We need to remember him to make things more easier for every one of us. Okay. Then we need to make a lot of dhikr, as we said, and then to seek for Allah's forgiveness. That is istighfar. And that's why I say in the Holy Quran, وَقُلِ تُسْتَغْفِرُ رَبَّكُمْ إِنَّهُ كَانَ غَفَارًا. Make sure that you seek for forgiveness because I forgives. And when you do that, then there are a lot of many good things that will still come your way. Then give charity during these first stages of the month of Dhul-Hijjah. Those who have been given sadaqah, there are a lot of palliatives or no palliatives. So it's very, very essential because there are a lot of people who are in need. They cannot feed themselves, they cannot do anything, but the little you give to them, they will appreciate it, most especially the first 10 days of Ramadan. Okay. Then presents, ties of kinship. So let people know that you are part of them. You move closer to people. You don't need to know their tribe. You don't need to know them. In as much as they are human beings, then make sure that you show that love to them. Let them see it in you that you are sincerely, you make things very easier for them, and they will be very happy to see you. Then the Eid al-Kabir festival, you know that that one is very, very essential. This is part of what you should know. In the first 10 days of the month of Dhul-Hijjah, then you need to slaughter ram. And when we slaughter that ram, you know that it has to be divided into 3. Okay. One for charity, sadaqah, to the needy, and to your own family. Okay. So don't stay there alone and say that you are slaughtering ram, then you want to eat it alone. Okay. And do not borrow money to slaughter ram. If you don't have this year, then there are a lot of many years that still come that you can still perform that. Okay, now in fact you just went right to my next question,
which had to do with those that will slaughter and those that will not. So what's expected of those who will not slaughter?
So you see, it is very essential because Prophet Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam happened to be, there's a conversation between him and Prophet Ismail when he said that if Allah should give me a glad-tidings son, I even prefer to slaughter, to make a sacrifice. Allah did that, and then he had a dream, and he saw it in that dream that he was slaughtering Ismail for sacrifice. Then he now went to Ismail when he woke up that, yeah, Ismail, inni arafil manamin anni asbahuka. I saw it in my dream that I was slaughtering you. Then Ismail answered immediately, if tumaru, just do what Allah has commanded you to do. Satajidne inshallah mina sabirin. Then you find me among the patient ones. I will not run away. Then when he was about to slaughter Ismail, God now replaced Ismail with ram. And that is the beginning of the slaughtering of the animal that is being done all over the world. Okay, now finally, this year's celebration is peculiar as most intending pilgrims will not be able to perform Hajj as a result of COVID-19. Now, what advice do you have for Muslims this period? Well, you see, COVID-19 is real. Let's be realistic. And you see people are dying every day, and a lot are not even pronounced. So whatever social distance they ask you to do, then let us keep on doing it and make ourselves very clean all the time. So you see, with this COVID-19, whatever measure been given to us, we should do it. If it is on the day of Salah, that social distance must be there, and make sure that you sanitize your hands, you make sure that you are in state of cleanliness, because even Allah had already said it times without number that an-nasafa min al-iman, cleanliness is part of faith. Anybody you see that is very clean is a great believer, either being a Muslim or non-Muslims, because dirtiness can never bring any good things. Cleanliness is next to godliness. Yes. Thank you for coming on Nationwide. Thank you for the insight. We've been talking to the Chief Imam of Ansaruddin Mosque, Abuja, Imam Musa Olaufe. Thank you once again. Alhamdulillah, thank you. Let's go on with the news. Kano State Government has ordered the cancellation of all ceremonial activities during the forthcoming Eid al-Kabir. This is part of resolutions at the end of this week's meeting of the State Executive Council. Abdullahi Mustafa has details.
Salah celebrations are a unique moment in the ancient city of Kano. The traditional Durbar processions during the period attract spectators from various parts of the world. This makes it the key feature of Eid celebration. The forthcoming Eid al-Kabir will, however, be without such traditional show of pageantry and horsemanship due to COVID-19. This decision was taken during this week's meeting of the Kano State Executive Council, presided over by Governor Abdullahi Umar Ganduje.
However, Council grants approval for the conduct of Eidil congregational prayers across the state under the strict observance of safety protocol.
During the meeting held in compliance with COVID-19 protocols, it was agreed that top government officials would be designated to different prayer grounds to monitor and ensure compliance. The council in session also approved the release of funds for the execution of various development programs and projects across the state. In Kano, Abdullahi Mustafa, NTA News.
From Kano, we'll now join Dotun for more reports on Nationwide. Over to you, Dotun, in Lagos.
Thank you, Lydia. It is just one day to go before the partial closure of the Third Mainland Bridge, and Lagos residents are already having a hard time navigating the roads. Earlier today, I visited some parts of the city and noticed that this is due to the ongoing rehabilitation works on some of the designated alternative routes. It is another day of dealing with hectic traffic in Lagos, and while the Third Mainland Bridge is just a few days away from being closed, motorists who are currently plying this road in Kostain say that urgent action needs to be taken, as well as the development of traffic management plan to avoid a chaotic situation.
We just want to employ the government to at least help us to ease the traffic in this environment, because everywhere is totally blocked up.
The repair work carried out at this spot at Ijora has been completed by the Federal Roads Maintenance Agency, with others also being carried out by the Federal Ministry of Works and Housing, as well as the state government.
This is one of the interventions being carried out by FEMA in some of the alternative routes. Where we are now, this is Kostain Road to Apapa. By tomorrow, you are going to see them putting the asphalt on top of this section where we are now.
And while the attention is on the imminent closure of the Third Mainland Bridge for repairs, other bridges within the state that have been partially shut are also undergoing repairs. They include Eco Bridge and the Marine Beach Bridge, with the replacement of bearings and expansion joints.
The project, it goes from here to Levantis. But for the phase one, we are changing only 160 bearings, which means this side and about 2 sections from the other side.
While the effect of traffic continues to bite hard, motorists have appealed to government to address the issue of articulated vehicles parked indiscriminately along roads when the Third Mainland Bridge is finally closed. Now, meanwhile, the unending tale of Apapa gridlock is resurfacing and invariably affecting trade and investment at Nigeria's largest seaports. Michael Olaleye visited this very busy corridor and reports that the patience of truck drivers is waning due to weeks on queue.
Proverbial stay-born, which misportrayed the genuineness of the herbalist, traffic gridlock in Apapa has continued to defy solutions. On a day like this, traffic is intense as usual, but a crave for daily bread will not disenchant business owners from plying these routes.
There's a syndicate making money from this problem, and until government gets to the root of it, nothing is going to work in Apapa.
This blaring of the horn is a sign of frustration, the type of depression that this truck driver has succumbed to. And while the queue continues to move in inches, he is fast asleep. Adekunle Taiwo is awake, but cannot move beyond this point. While expressing his frustration, a truck forcefully joined the queue under the glaring eyes of security agents and enforcement team.
All these are our police and the last man, the way they are doing. They will let us to say, park the motor. Immediately they park their motor, they still arrest us again. Carry us to the station, collecting their money from our hand.
Truck drivers are not the only one feeling the heat. Freight forwarders are counting the cost.
To load a single container, a 40-foot container at mid-maritime now, that's in Tinkan, it will cost you like 900,000. Ordinarily, that's what we'll spend only 350,000 naira to do. And it's not helping business. It's not even helping the economy.
The Nigerian Shippers Council, aside reactivating cargo evacuation through rail, is working on the completion of the $94 million dry seaport in Ibadan to further ease congestion in the ports.
I hope by March or second quarter of next year, we'll have a port where it's not necessary for people to be there, to have physical presence, including the security agencies. That means we transact all our business online, and that will reduce drastically, the issue of extortion and corruption.
While port users await interventions that will reduce the effects of the gridlock, the timely completion of the Marine Beach Bridge, others say, is crucial to easing the pains. In Lagos, Michael Olale, NTA News.
Let's now go on a break. Nationwide, we'll be back with Lydia in Abuja.
Announcement from the Federal Ministry of Works and Housing, Emergency Rehabilitation and Maintenance of Third Mainland Bridge, Lagos. The Third Mainland Bridge will be closed for maintenance from Friday, July 24, 2020 to Sunday, January 24, 2021. Consequently, the Omoroshoki bound lane will be closed for the first 3 months, while the Lagos Island bound lane will remain open. The bridge will take Omoroshoki to Lagos Island traffic from 12 midnight to 1 p.m. Also from 1 p.m. to 12 midnight, the bridge will take the Lagos Island traffic to Omoroshoki on the Lagos Island bound carriageway. The same process will be replicated on the Lagos Island lane upon completion of repairs of the Omoroshoki lane. Motorists are advised to apply alternative routes from Kata Bridge through Ido Oyigbo to join Adekunle ramp inwards Omoroshoki and from Ijora Olokpa through Western Avenue to Ikorodu Road. We regret all inconveniences this might cause, and we urge motorists to be patient and understanding, even as adequate traffic control will be in place. Announcer Engineer Olukayode Pupola, Federal Controller Works, Lagos, on behalf of the Honorable Minister of Works and Housing, Mr. Babatunde Raji Fashola, SAN.
The Honorable Minister of Communications and Digital Economy, Dr. Isa Ali Ibrahim Pantami, FNCS, FBCS, FIIM, cordially invites all stakeholders to the virtual commissioning of the following completed projects under the digital economy sector located across the country. Tertiary Institution Knowledge Center, Enugu. The Nigeria Communications Satellite Northwest Regional Office, Kaduna. IT Community Center, Katsina. IT Hub, Kaduna. Information Technology Development Hub, Lagos. Emergency Communications Center, Kaduna. Date: Thursday, 23rd July 2020. Time: 11 a.m. The projects are part of developing digital economy for a digital Nigeria. Announcer: Permanent Secretary, Federal Ministry of Communications and Digital Economy.
COVID-19 cases in Nigeria is increasing daily, with many more tests ongoing. The battle of testing, isolating, treating, and attending to the affected persons rests heavily on the shoulders of our health workers, constantly putting their lives on the line and at risk to contain this virus, save and protect the lives of millions of Nigerians. To these health workers, we at the Nigerian Television Authority, NTA, on behalf of millions of Nigerians, say a big thank you for all that you have done and are doing. To the security agencies enforcing the lockdown and every other frontliner, we say thank you for putting your lives on the line to save ours. There is no amount of words that can quantify our gratitude. Thank you. This message is brought to you by the Nigerian Television Authority, NTA, Africa's largest television network.
Thanks for staying with the NTA. Mina is standing by in Enugu for trending stories from that axis. Mina?
Hello, Lydia. Good evening and welcome to Enugu. Orphanage homes in Enugu State have benefited from the state government's gesture of distributing palliatives to the needy to cushion the effect of COVID-19 on the people. The Deputy Governor and Chairman of the State Palliatives Committee on COVID-19, Cecilia Ezilo, presented the items to representatives of the orphanages in the state. Susan Eze has details.
Catering for orphans in the society is a noble venture and great service to humanity, and according to the Deputy Governor, Enugu State Government appreciates the humanitarian work being rendered by these caregivers. At a time like this, she said, government is concerned about the plight of these homes and the orphans in them. Hence, the donation of food items to the homes to cushion the effect of the economic hardship occasioned by the coronavirus pandemic.
We thank you for taking up this godly function. We know it's not easy, but be consoled by the promise of our Lord Jesus Christ in the Bible, that whatsoever you do to the least of my brothers, that you do unto me. We thank you so much. Here we have different types of items to be taken home by you people to these children.
On behalf of the operators of orphanage homes in the state, Mrs. Chile Ononiwu thanked the Enugu State Government for this demonstration of love and care.
For this gesture of love, our prayer is that the Lord will bless him and bless everyone working with him.
Bags of rice, cartons of noodles, table water, food seasonings, among others, were among the items donated to the orphanages. In Enugu, Susan Eze, NTA News.
Following the recent pronouncement by the Imo State Government on operations of major markets in view of the coronavirus pandemic, traders in the affected markets have declared their resolve to comply with the laid-down rules guiding their operations. Lorita Arinze Egwim reports.
Markets are generally known to attract large crowd of traders and buyers, making it one of the places with a high tendency to promote the spread of COVID-19. It is in line with this that the Imo State Government placed a ban on operations of major markets, which was recently lifted with a directive to operate 3 days a week. A visit to some of the major markets in Owerri shows total compliance to the non-trading days. Some of the traders who spoke to NTA News described the directive of the state government as a welcome development in view of the dangers associated with COVID-19.
We are seeing that COVID-19 is real, and the measures being taken by the government is a proper measure. We advise our people to comply with the government directives.
Some of the market leaders say adequate sensitization has been done to ensure total compliance, as traders are already operating according to NCDC guidelines.
We rank back to all the businessmen in the market that we should observe our environmental cleaning.
We ask them to buy face masks, and we have some. We are giving them.
In various markets, the state government have procured face masks on their own. They have distributed it to them.
They, however, hope that the current efforts by the federal and state governments to containing the spread of COVID-19 will be sustained. In Owerri, Lorita Arinze Egwim, NTA News.
And that's a bit from here. Lydia, it's back to you for a continuation of Nationwide.
Many thanks, Mina. A part of the administrative and production station of the Nigerian Television Authority, NTA Ilorin, was late Tuesday night gutted by fire. The fire, which is suspected to have started around 11 in the night, razed the conference room, marketing department, office of the manager news and current affairs, and the general manager's office. The cause of the fire is suspected to be an electrical spark. Men of the federal and state fire service were swift to arrive at the scene following alarm raised by neighbors, thereby preventing the fire from spreading further. The governor of the state, Malam Abdurrahman Abdurazak, drove himself to the scene of the incident to assess the impact of the fire. No life was, however, lost. And now to COVID-19 stories. The Nigeria Center for Disease Control, NCDC, has confirmed 576 new cases of COVID-19 in the country. The latest figures released at about midnight on the 21st of July indicate that 22 states recorded new cases of the virus. Lagos has the highest number of new infections with 88 cases, followed by Kwara with 87. The FCT has 82 new cases. Other states include Plateau with 62 new cases, Ondo 39, Enugu has 28 cases, Oyo 26, Taraba 24, Kaduna and Ebonyi have 20 new cases each. The daily COVID-19 cases in Nigeria also indicate that Edo State has 17 new cases, Cross River State 16, Kano 14, Rivers has 11, Ogun 10, Delta 9, Nasarawa and Osun states have 8 cases each. Katsina has 3, Imo 2, Kebbi and Borno have 1 case each. So far, Nigeria has 37,801 confirmed cases of COVID-19, 15,677 of them have been discharged, while 805 patients died of the virus. Ekiti State Governor Dr. Kayode Fayemi has tested positive for coronavirus. The governor, in his official Twitter handle, said his third COVID-19 test came back positive, adding that he will be handing over to his deputy, Adebisi Egbeyemi, while he will continue routine duty from home. The governor said he is generally okay and is already on self-isolation at home receiving treatment. Fayemi, who is the chairman Nigeria Governors Forum, is reportedly the 8th governor to test positive for COVID-19. Governor Samuel Otom has taken delivery of consignment of alcohol-based sanitizers from the Benue State Ministry of Science and Technology. The sanitizers are produced by the ministry in conjunction with a firm in Jos. Charles Abba has details.
COVID-19 continues to rage. The Benue State government has been making frantic efforts to surmount the ailment. This time, it is these cartons of alcohol-based sanitizers which are delivered to Governor Samuel Otom by the Commissioner for Science and Technology, Emmanuel Oiwona. The governor explained that the last 2 results of samples tested for COVID-19 in the state reveal that over 50 persons were confirmed positive for the virus. He commended the Ministry of Science and Technology for the innovation, saying, "It is a demonstration of a positive side of COVID-19. He noted that with this development, victory over the pandemic is in sight.
Put resources together and also so that we can mass produce these hand sanitizers."
The governor disclosed that most members of the State Executive Council who tested positive for the virus earlier have recovered. In Makudi, Charles Abba, NTA News.
Sokoto is our next port of call, and Abdurrahman is standing by with more reports. Abdurrahman.
Hello Lydia, good afternoon and welcome to Sokoto. Sokoto State Government has provided 2 million tree seedlings for distribution to the public and commenced the comprehensive review of environmental laws to conform with present-day realities. This came to the fore at the launching of the 2020 tree planting campaign in Sokoto State. Dalhatu Abdullahi has a report.
Numerous interventions have been made by successive governments in the area of desertification control. These efforts were made by both federal and state governments in collaboration with multilateral institutions such as the World Bank through the Global Mechanism on Environmental Sustenance. Though the objectives of some of these efforts started in 1977 have been met, there seems to be a missing link which calls for intensive collaboration with relevant stakeholders on the sustainability and collective ownership for the growth of plantations to ensure environmental protection. The choice of regreening Sokoto State for economic empowerment as the theme for this year's tree planting campaign in Sokoto State was due to the loss of over 130 hectares of land plantations to development pressure and population growth.
If you want people to stop cutting trees illegally also, then you have to provide for substitutes.
Otherwise, the catastrophe awaiting the community one after the other is so much that you cannot be able to quantify it.
Sokoto State Government has increased the annual supply of 1 million tree seedlings to 2 million to meet the public demand and upscale the exercise to all the local government areas.
I would like to call on the general public to desist from illegal felling of trees, encroachment into the forest reserves, unnecessary excavation of ditches to avoid land degradation and erosion.
20 secondary schools will also be supported by the Sokoto State Government to establish orchards and young foresters clubs. In Sokoto, Alat Abdullahi, NTA News.
The Zamfara State Office of the Independent National Electoral Commission is to recruit 500 ad hoc staff for the conduct of the forthcoming by-election at a State Assembly constituency in Bakura local government area. Haliru Muhammad Umar reports that the recruitment process has already commenced.
Zamfara State Office of INEC had embarked on preparation for the conduct of by-election into the Bakura constituency seat in the State House of Assembly, which became vacant following the recent death of member representing people of the area. This preparation involves recruitment of ad hoc staff who include students of Federal University Gusau that will serve as assistant presiding officers. The applicants, being 200 and 300 level students, presented themselves for screening along their admission letters, ID cards, bank details, and other required documents.
I'm assuring Zamfara State and Bakura local government people that I will do all my best to see that the election is conducted free, fair, and credible.
We will work according to the code and conduct of the INEC in order to have a successful election.
The head of operations in the Zamfara State INEC office, Hussein Ja'far, said successful applicants will later undergo training on how best to carry out their assignment.
They are to serve people, so we expect them to be honest and transparent in all their dealings.
According to him, the commission is determined to ensure strict compliance with COVID-19 prevention guidelines before, during, and after the election. The screening exercise, which commenced on Monday, is scheduled to last for 3 days. In Gusau, Haliru Muhammad Umar, NTA News.
That's it from here. Nationwide continues in Benin with Obehi after this message.
Any act of corruption to ICPC on toll-free number 0800-2255-4272. This message is brought to you by ICPC and NTA.
She cried. She cried in anguish and in pain. She bears the scourge of her grief. She toils in vain for justice and succumbs to silence. He gloats over his malady. Like a beast, he pounces with no remorse. Her cry meant nothing. Her pain feeds her shame. Like an orphan, she is left to grief in solitude. But no more will she cry in vain. Her adversaries will henceforth bear the brunt of their bestiality. Rape is evil. Rape is a plague, a pandemic of monumental consequences. We must unite and kick it out of our society.
Connect with NTA and stand against rape and rapists. This message is brought to you by the Nigerian Television Authority, NTA.
We have observed the lockdown. We have practiced the measures in order to curb the spread of the virus, but we can do better. The coronavirus spread is increasing daily, and only together can we cut down the numbers and defeat the spread of the virus. Remember, COVID-19 is not a death sentence, and a recovered patient cannot spread the disease. Do not stigmatize. Do not hesitate to report any case, or if you have come in contact with anybody that has been infected with COVID-19. If you have cough and fever, please stay at home and call your state hotline. Find state numbers at www.covid19.ncdc.gov.ng. Remember, it is for your own good and for the good of every Nigerian. Let us do better and defeat the virus. Together, we can do this.
This message is brought to you by the Nigerian Television Authority, NTA, Africa's largest television network.
Hello, many thanks for joining us in Benin. Recent NCDC updates have shown Edo recording spikes in the number of new cases of COVID-19, with the 19th of July being a peculiar case where Edo topped the chart of states with new COVID-19 cases. And Willie Okolo reports that medical practitioners are calling for strict enforcement of safety measures, especially as the governorship election draws near.
There is a lot of concern in Edo State as it hits over 2,000 confirmed cases of COVID-19. Citizens seem to have thrown caution to the wind as social distancing protocols are not being observed in their daily activities. Even face masks were seen on a handful of persons.
Look at it.
Some say it seems enforcement of the safety measures have now taken the backstage.
And even the drivers, they should check them because they have started carrying more than 2.
The enforcement is rather on the poor side.
Medical experts are cautioning against lackadaisical behavior of citizens and enforcement agencies towards the safety guidelines, especially as electioneering heightens.
If you're going to hold rallies, then preferably make them town hall meetings and then hold them. So you're going to have multiple town hall meetings in different locations. Enforce social distancing guidelines. Make sure people sanitize their hands before coming in and going out. And make sure, most importantly, they don a face mask.
The state currently has over 8,000 suspected cases of COVID-19. So further rise in COVID-19 cases in state seem imminent.
We are picking these cases up, and after picking them, we are isolating them and getting them treated.
As of Tuesday, 21st July, Edo has recorded 2,017 confirmed cases of COVID-19, with 649 still active, 1,300 discharged, and 68 deaths recorded. In Benin, Willie Okolo, NTA News.
And away from COVID-19, the federal government's extended special public works program designed to provide modest stipend for 774,000 Nigerians has kicked off in Ekiti State. Governor Kayode Fayemi, represented at the event, reiterates the support of his administration to job creation policies. Kola Adebobuye reports.
In line with the presidential directive and the follow-up instructions of Minister of State for Labour and Productivity, the intervention scheme to support and cushion the negative socio-economic effects of COVID-19, especially on the vulnerable members of the society, was initiated. Governor Fayemi, who applauded the federal government's idea on employment generation, said the intervention will be used to bring support to the lives of people of the state who genuinely desired the service.
Anyone that sees the economic impact of this program in each local government will know that it will banish poverty in the land.
Chairman of the State Selection Committee, who is also the Chief of Staff to the State Governor, said the initiative will be intervening heavily in environmental and sanitation activities, cutting and clearing of road verges, filling of potholes, traffic control, among others.
I commend the President for acceding to the commencement of the extended special public works scheme as a measure to mitigate the biting effects of the COVID-19 pandemic on the vulnerable unemployed Nigerians.
16,000 people from the 16 local government areas of Ekiti State are expected to benefit from the employment opportunity in Ado Ekiti. Kola Adebobuyi, NTA News.
And that's it from Benin. Nationwide continues with Lydia in Abuja.
Many thanks, Obehi. Federal government's sustainable approach in reviving and improving the agriculture sector as a major vehicle for economic diversification is yielding fruitful impact with capacity to absorb post-COVID-19 shocks. Guests on NTA's audience participatory program Tuesday Live underscored various interventions to encourage surplus production and sustained quality output as key in realizing an employable and export agricultural sector. Abubakar Usman Akwanga has more.
Those
recovery and growth plan of the federal government is heavily dependent on the agriculture sector, with utilization of its potential for rapid economic development of the country. And in line with federal government diversification agenda, the agriculture sector remains a major beneficiary towards sustaining the policy through massive interventions and incentives to increase participation in farming activities.
And in 2020, because of the COVID, President decided to drop the fertilizer price to a factory price of 4,500 and a farm gate price of 5,000, and that has helped greatly to support the farmers.
In the ANCO policy, all the guidelines, all the requirements, all the conditions are there, and it is a due diligence program. CBN are very strict on following all their conditions.
Guests on NTA's Current Affairs program Tuesday Live opined that production for domestic consumption and exports is steadily increasing despite setbacks occasioned by incessant herders and farmers' crisis, banditry, insurgency, and the novel coronavirus pandemic. On the ban of importation and closure of borders, experts maintained that the decision has encouraged sustainable generation of viable economic activities around the agricultural value chain.
Confidence has been restored and is daily being enhanced by the great policy framework, the transparency in the system, which is Mr. President has been very vigilant about.
For you to produce, you must go back to farm. So based on that, we are engaging all stakeholders, institutions, corporate bodies, individuals, to get to land that they have not been using, that have been lying fallow.
The continuous effort to fully migrate to mechanized farming system and provide a ready market for off-takers is another critical component that may require stakeholders to make further push in exploring maximum benefits in the sector. In Abuja, Abubakar Usman Akwanga, NTA News.
The Senate has passed the Bank and Other Financial Institutions Act Amendment Bill 2020, which seeks to update laws governing all financial institutions and their services. The bill also canvasses the creation of a special tribunal of not more than 10 persons for the enforcement and recovery of eligible loans and speedy resolution of financial-related cases, while sexual offenses are to be added to categories of crimes that can result to removal of a bank officer from his position. The Nigerian Railway Corporation Act 2004 Repeal and Reenactment Bill 2020 was also passed by the Senate. The bill, among other issues, seeks to stipulate standards and procedures for the acquisition of land for railway infrastructure and to provide stiffer penalties for misconduct, especially by train drivers who are to pay 500,000 naira for driving under the influence of alcohol. The Senate expects the executive to submit the 2021 budget by September this year, as it has resolved to pass it before end of December. 1 career and 39 non-career ambassadors have been confirmed by the legislators as the nominees from Yobe and Niger states were stepped down until some issues are resolved. Meanwhile, a new CBN policy targeted at reducing chronic loan defaulting is expected to help address issues of character reformation among borrowers and bankers in Nigeria. Guests on NTA's program, Good Morning Nigeria, made the remark, among other submissions, as Nigerians await the August 1st date for the takeoff of the policy, which begins with individual accounts. Alika Okpanachi-Arua reports.
This Global Standing Instruction, GSI, adopted by the Central Bank of Nigeria, is to serve as a last resort to lending banks in their quest to recover funds from defaulting customers. Legal dimensions to the policy were raised in spite of the well-thought-out strategy in its implementation.
We must note that this directive is not a statutory provision, it's not a law emanating from the National Assembly, and so it is also contestable.
By this new policy, customers interested in borrowing bank funds are required to grant lending banks access to all accounts under their name in the Nigerian banking industry.
It will affect 1, personal accounts, either savings or current; 2,
joint account probably between the wife and the husband. And 3, trust accounts that you have for your children.
I believe this standing order that will be signed by customers of banks that will enable banks to actually debit them is a very good initiative.
Financial institutions were advised to carefully select and train the personnel. It was, however, admitted that the new policy, which aims at improving the culture of borrowing, encouraging banks to lend, as well as creating a list of chronic loan defaulters, is still being perfected.
Competency is very important. When we implement competency framework in the banking sector, for example, and we follow through the rules, as I said, these rules are all there. So it's just that sometimes they are observed in the breach.
They further emphasized the need for proper investigation into the character and integrity of any borrower before approvals are granted for loans. In Abuja, Alika Okpanachi, Arua, NTA News.
We now have the update on the Ondo PDP primary election, which Oluwabukola Aduo reports that over 2,000 delegates are participating.
Although accreditation of delegates was delayed, largely due to problem of logistics, party officials did not waste time to address the challenges.
Once you come in as a delegate, you're expected to just go to the accreditation center. There are 2 accreditation centers. The first one is to verify that you are the authentic person coming to vote.
During the accreditation process, 2 of the aspirants, Eyitayo Jegede SAN and the Ondo State Deputy Governor, Agbola Ajayi, drove to the venue to monitor the exercise.
I'm expecting fair and fair election. People are decent. The security personnel are many. They are here. And all of us are behaving like a very good family.
We expect a free and fair, very transparent primaries here today.
Thereafter, voting, which the delegates have been waiting for, commenced under the supervision of the PDP Governorship Primary Election Committee Chairman, who is also the Governor of Enugu State, Ifeanyi Ugwuanyi, in an orderly manner. 8 aspirants are contesting the governorship election ahead of the Ondo State governorship election coming up on October 10, 2020. In Akure, Olubukola Aduo, NTA News.
Our next report from Lafia says women at the summit on preventing violent extremism in Nasarawa State want more economic empowerment to raise status and promote peace in the society. Abigail Bashi reports.
Women from local government areas converged to speak with one voice for their advancement.
To let the whole world know how the women have been struggling, to pursue an education, to have a seat at the table in important decisions and earn equal pay.
With recognition and representation of women and their tremendous contributions from home to community and governance, the summit proposed solutions to negative consequences of continued marginalization, oppression, and discrimination of women.
Enhance the status, promote and protect the interests of women in all ramifications in the state.
Wife of Nasarawa State Governor Hajiat Clifford Abdullahi Sule harps on empowering the girl child, which is one of the cardinal objectives of her pet project. Nasarawa State Government, in collaboration with other partners, is to empower 500 women in 6 local government areas of the state. In Lafia, Abigail Bashi, NTA News.
And from Lokoja, suspected criminals have deployed another means of conveying illicit drugs by using fake inscriptions, which pass them off as COVID-19 service vehicles. Correspondent Solomon Aidehin reports that 4 of such vehicles conveying illicit drugs and hard substances, including cocaine, to the northern part of the country were intercepted in Kogi State by men of the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency.
Been able to intercept about 7,500 kilograms of assorted drugs between January and date.
The latest seizure of cannabis sativa and cocaine weighing 1,120.36 kg came during a stop and search roadblock characterized by intelligence surveillance by NDLEA officials along Okene-Lokoja Abuja Highway. 40 kg of cannabis sativa wrapped in charcoal-laden sacks were seized from Ukasa Musa and Abba Mukhtar in an articulated vehicle with COVID-19 Essential Services tag, while 980 kg of the illicit drug belonging to the trio of Mustafa Mohammed, Basil Mohammed, and Mohammed Sani was discovered in a grain-loaded trailer heading to Sokoto. Also, the driver of a Nissan Sunny car, on sighting the men of the NDLEA, abandoned the car containing 10 bags of Indian hemp weighing 100 kg.
We made another seizure of cocaine, and I believe that when this is happening, it is enough for us to tell Nigerians that we have serious drug problems on our hands.
While lamenting the effect of drug abuse on the society, particularly the youth, the Kogi State NDLA boss enjoined Nigerians to support the agency in its quest to rid the country of illicit drug.
The suspects are to be prosecuted after completion of investigation. In Lokoja, Solomon Ayedehi, NTA News.
Next is sports. Stadia across the Federation set to receive federal government attention. Tamara Ebiwe has that.
Government says it is committed to the restoration of stadia across the nation so as to return them to their earlier glories as well as meeting FIFA standards. Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Youth and Sports Development, Gabriel Aduda, disclosed this when he received the report of Ministerial Task Force on National Stadium, Surulere, Lagos. Aduda said the report will be thoroughly scrutinized and implemented to bring joy and satisfaction to all sports-loving Nigerians. Meanwhile, encomiums have continued to pour in for former Nigeria international Emmanuel Ndubisi Egbo, who has become the first Nigerian and African to lead a European club to a top-tier domestic title.
Most of these coaches here believe that because they are black or because they are African, they can't go there and perform and compete with their counterparts in Europe. But with what this guy has done right now, it will re-energize the belief in most of our coaches that we can go there and compete with the white guys, we can go there and compete with the Europeans, and we are as good as them.
In their congratulatory messages, NFF General Secretary Mohammed Sanusi praised Egbo for the feat and expressed the view that the coach has laid down a marker for fellow Nigerian coaches to learn from. With few matches left in the Albanian top flight, KF Tirana is guaranteed the title as well as UEFA Champions League slots. In basketball, Nigeria's Ike Diogo and Farouk Aminu are among top 10 named in FIBA Africa Players of the Decade list in the first category of names released by FIBA. The selection was based on their impact at club and national teams, participation at FIBA competitions, which ran from 2010 to 2020. The second list of 5 names will be released soon, with other Nigerian stars expected to make it. Tamara Ebiwe, NTA News.
And on a sad note, the First Lady, Federal Republic of Nigeria, Mrs. Aisha Muhammadu Buhari, condoles with Mrs. Hawa Isa Funtua, children, and all members of her family on the sudden death of Malam Ismaila Isa Funtua. A condolence message by the First Lady, Mrs. Aisha Buhari, prays that Allah grants the deceased Al-Janatul Fidaus. Malam Ismaila Isa Funtua, the message adds, will ever be remembered for his support to women politicians, especially his role to get them appointed into different boards in the last 4 years. Mrs. Buhari prays Allah grants his family the fortitude to bear the irreparable loss. Amen. Meanwhile, the All Progressives Congress Governors Forum says it has received the news of the death of Malam Isa Funtua with a heavy heart and gratitude to Allah for a life well blessed. The governors, in a statement by its chairman, Governor Abubakar Atiku Bagudu of Kebbi State, joined the family, President Muhammadu Buhari, people and government of Katsina State and the nation to pray for the repose of the soul of Malam Issa Funtua. His death, the Progressives governor said, is a loss to the nation and Nigerian business community, and prayed for God Almighty to grant the family the fortitude to bear the heavy loss. And now our message on rape. And that's it on Nationwide. Thanks for your attention. We're grateful. I am Lydia Odije Ochi. Have a wonderful evening. Goodbye.